Good evening. Most places I say I'm Gerry Connell, but around here that doesn't work. I introduced myself to the governor this evening and said, Gerry Connell. He said, uh-huh. And I said, Connell. Oh. I know who you are. And he did. I'm here tonight with my sister Maureen, and if you know Maureen, you know she's called Mo, and her son Kevin. And Mo and I have a brother, but he's down in Sarasota, and he thought this was kind of a long trip to make for dinner, but maybe next year. I want to acknowledge the excellence of Judge Gerald Fox. There are plenty of awards given out around the world every year. To name a few, you've got the Pulitzer, Oscars, Nobel, but they're all somewhat limited. They don't recognize the whole man. If you are a physicist and discover evidence that the Big Bang never occurred, you get a Nobel. If you're a good actor and have a good publicist, you could get an Oscar. And if you write the definitive biography of President Millard Fillmore, you could get a Pulitzer. But none of those awards deal with the whole man as this award does. I am advised and believe that in order to be considered for Man of the Year, you must be perfect in every way. Nothing short of that will get you this award. Now, the honoree and I and one of his sons share the same first name, Gerald. I think we all like it, but I don't know if they know that in January, the Bureau of the Census put it on the endangered first names list. But I think that with the realization that a guy named Gerald has become Man of the Year, it'll get off that list pretty quick. I want to tell you what I know from my father about how this whole thing came about. Some of you must know this, but probably not all of you do. Back in just after World War II, of course, you had some big businesses down in South Stamford. You had Allentown and Pitney Bowes and Shep, and there were a lot of executives who were looking for a place to eat lunch. And down near them was the Originus restaurant on State Street. It eventually, pretty quickly after the late 40s got torn down to make way for the Thruway, but a bunch of people migrated there to eat lunch every day, and a lot of them like to discuss the issues of the day, and they like to argue. My father was a prominent member of that group, which included judges like Gerald Fox, lawyers like me, politicians, executives, and they had a good time talking about things and sometimes arguing pretty loudly. So what my father told me was that one day some guys at a neighboring table, apparently growing a little annoyed by all the noise that was coming out of the round table, one of them said, that's nothing but a baby society, which he meant as a criticism. But my father and his friend Francis Xavier Burke took it as a compliment and said, you know, the guy's right. So within a short time, they put together a constitution and bylaws, putting together the State Street Debating Society. Ed Connell was to be president, and Burt was to be chairman. And there was a provision, I'm told, that neither could be removed except for conviction of high treason, and then only with their consent. So Burt and Connell served, I think, for 4 years and then decided to give it over to somebody else. But once they formed the society, they realized, we really got to do something, and that's where the idea came for the Man of the Year award. And it's demonstrated that it's been a lasting thing by the fact that this is the 69th annual dinner. Very good luck. Now let me add that this is the first one of these dinners attended by my sister, by me, by my nephew, which so makes it a special treat for us, but it also reminds me that Dad never invited us. Now, those of you who knew my father know that he was well-read, an articulate speaker, and a writer with a lot of grace. I'm not sure any of you know that in the mid-50s he was the principal editorial writer for the Stanford Advocate. He did that anonymously for various reasons, but he did. Now, I can remember very well that he was frequently a Toastmaster at a communion breakfast, MC at a sports dinner. He was very much in demand to do these things, and he told me why. What he told me was this adage, the brevity is the soul of wit. I believe in that adage, and therefore I now sit down.
Thank you for making the long trip and joining us. You're always welcome. In fact, this old man used to pick on me all the time. And his famous expression was, he would say, "Herb, with my brains and your voice, I can go anywhere." And of course, he never went anywhere but superintendent of park. A great man and a good fellow. And let's see.